Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. According to a phenomenon called the lag of seasons, we should be just getting into the coldest part of the year. Even though we passed the winter solstice, well, last month, a couple of weeks ago, the coldest time of the year doesn't occur exactly at the same time as the shortest day. It takes a little bit of time for the cooling and the heating to really reach their lowest point before things start to warm up again. And by the same token, it gets its hottest a little bit after the summer solstice. So in some calendars, the winter solstice isn't the beginning of winter, but the middle, and the same with the summer solstice in those calendars. So we should be getting to just about the coldest part of the year, while the southern hemisphere should just be getting to its warmest. It should be about the warmest part of summer for those people living on the other side of the equator. So we are going to go and take a look at the sky from down there. We're going to take a look at the sky from the southern hemisphere down in Australia and South America and South Africa. Before we do, let's just have a quick reminder of what's in the sky at the moment. We'll move a little bit into the future just to get the moon in the sky, and we can see, if we move a little bit later, Jupiter looks nice and high in the sky, as does the moon. They both look nice and high at the moment. We've got Orion and Taurus there with the Hyades and Aldebaran. That V shape is the Hyades. The Pleiades are just up there by the moon. If we move a little bit forward, you'll start to see them. This is our view from a city sky. That is what we are going to start with, mostly because it will be a little less confusing. We'll turn our way round to the north because these are the stars we're going to miss out on. We're traveling around to the other side of the Earth, so these stars will drop under the northern horizon as we move south. They'll vanish from our view. So the Plough, or the Big Dipper, the North Star, and the Little Dipper attached to it, these things are going to vanish from the sky. What will happen instead is that the southern sky for us, these constellations like Orion and Taurus, they're going to move north. So we'll see them to the north and see a whole different group of constellations and stars in the south once we're in the southern hemisphere and the Earth isn't getting in the way. Now, in Stellarium, we can just get rid of the ground and look down at the southern hemisphere and see all of these different stars down here, but that's with the sun in the sky, that's daytime down there. It doesn't really give a realistic view of what's going on. It can just help you see what's about to rise or set, or give you a rough idea of the constellations. We are going to transport ourselves to the southern hemisphere. We'll start by heading down to Australia. We'll go somewhere right in the middle, right in the deserty part. Yeah, pretty close to Alice Springs. That looks good, because it's not too far south. Australia is a big continent, so it does have quite a bit of variation, a reasonable amount of variation from the top down to the bottom and into Tasmania, which is a little bit south of Australia proper. So we're here looking at the sky. We have moved to Australia from Ireland, so that means we are looking at the sky very close to morning time rather than close to evening time. There's a familiar star, Sirius. If we turn around to the north, it's kind of hard to tell, but those should be familiar stars. Down in the south, this is where we're going to see some different things, like the Southern Cross, which is pretty close to the Southern Hemisphere's version of the Plough or the Big Dipper. It's very, very close to the point where the southern pole faces. It should be around here. So we're going to move a little bit closer to the Southern Hemisphere's evening time. Just before the sun rises, if I can get this right. There we go. There we are. Looking north, there's Jupiter, there's the moon, there's Orion upside down and up very high. There's Saturn setting over in the west, just as we'd expect it to. There's Sirius. These are the same constellations. The moon should still be right next to the Hyades, and indeed there's Aldebaran. It is a little bit strange with everything turned upside down, but it's still the same stars, the same constellations, and you can really see the constellations are upside down when I bring up the pictures. And that's because these constellations, particularly the very old ones like Cetus the whale and Taurus the bull, they were drawn by the ancient Greeks. They had never gone to the southern hemisphere. They had never seen the sky down there. If we turn around and look into the south, these constellations were created in the southern hemisphere for the southern hemisphere by explorers, usually in the 17th and 18th centuries, when people really started getting out there in the age of sail. So we can see that these look pretty much the right way up. but they're very different from the constellations that we're seeing in the north. And of course, what we're seeing in the south, this would be equivalent to us looking north in our sky. So if we get rid of those constellations for just a second, move things a little bit later into the night, there we go. We can see that the sky does appear to rotate. It looks like the sky is spinning around the same way that our northern sky appears to. That's because the southern sky in the southern hemisphere, that's where the South Pole is pointing. The same way our northern sky in the northern hemisphere is where our North Pole is pointing. So it will appear that the sky will rotate on that side. And those stars will be in the southern hemisphere all the time. Those stars will be up for the southern hemisphere pretty much all the time. And we can see that the southern cross there appears to rotate. It gets quite low. It just about sets, but it would pop up again later on once the Earth's after turning a little bit further. And we're not quite as far south here as Ireland is north in the northern hemisphere. We can see that Mars, Mercury, and Venus there, they're coming up at a little bit of an angle, but they're a lot closer to vertical than we were seeing them. We were seeing them at a much shallower angle from here in Ireland at this time of the year. We can replicate that by moving further south. Now, of course, Australia is pretty big, but it doesn't stretch quite as far south as South America. If we go all the way down here to Tierra del Fuego, there we go, in South America, very much down in the southern hemisphere. It's just after the very middle of summer. So again, we're going to have to change the time a little bit. Let's get that down. And we can see there's Orion and Canis Major. We can see the same stars there in the sky. If we turn around into the south, yep, there's the Southern Cross. The sun's just after setting, so if we move time forward here, we'll see the sky appearing to rotate. Not for very long, because we're still so close now to the middle of summer. The night is going to be incredibly short down in Tierra del Fuego, the same way the night will be very, very short for us in midsummer. So that's really the difference. Us here in the northern hemisphere, we're tilted away from the sun right now, giving us much longer nights, whereas down south, they're tilted towards the sun, giving them much shorter nights. And that's what's really controlling the seasons. That's why the southern hemisphere has summer when we have winter, and vice versa. Now that we are a little bit lower, a little bit closer to the pole, let's bring up those constellations again. So there is the Southern Cross, and if we move things around, you'll see that there isn't really a star exactly in the middle where everything is rotating around. Unfortunately, there isn't really a south polar star the way we have a north polar star. There isn't an Australis equivalent to Polaris, but the Southern Cross will still point you roughly in the direction of south, just about there. So you can, well, just about there. So you can still use it to find south. It is just a little bit trickier. It works a little bit different. So that is part of the southern hemisphere sky during the summer. Just to round it out, we'll take a quick look at the sky from South Africa as well. This is pretty high in South Africa. I'll go a little bit closer to the south. That should do. So we'll get our sun down again. Because we're after moving from Ireland to Australia to South America to South Africa, we are changing our longitude as well as our latitude. So that means we're getting where we're changing what time zone we're in, how close we are to the international dateline and so forth. So now that we're in South Africa, not as far south as Tierra del Fuego, so the night is going to be considerably longer. Still summertime, so it's still going to be in that warmer part of the year. We can see Venus, Mars, and Mercury there still making a pretty good angle up over the horizon as the sun rises in the morning. They're still seeing the same planets in the morning, and if we turn into the north, there's those constellations that we also get to see. Let's get moving back in time. There's the moon, and there is Jupiter. Oh, seem to have brought us a bit too close to the middle of the day. Let's get back. We should get to see Saturn. There we go. Everything's upside down, so it is a little bit hard to get my bearings, but they're still seeing Saturn, still seeing Jupiter, still setting in the west, rising in the east, but looking into the north to see them instead of looking into the south. So that gave us a wonderful view of the southern hemisphere's sky. I hope you got to see a few of the other stars, a few of the different features. We will take another visit to the southern hemisphere in the future when we're having summer and they're having winter, to get an idea of what the sky looks like during their longer nights. Unfortunately, that visit to the southern hemisphere didn't really provide any warmth, so we're back here in the northern hemisphere, back into winter. And of course, we're going to continue taking a closer look at some of the constellations that are coming up for us, and some of the constellations that we haven't looked at in the past in future videos. So I do hope you've stuck around for those. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel to make it more likely that you'll get recommended these videos. And do please like the video if you enjoyed it. You can also read a little bit about this on my website, queebeanscontent.ie. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll come back next time.